plus 291692. So we want to add this together. So like we said, always start from the ones position. So when we add 6 to 2, 6 plus 2 gives us 8. Then we go ahead to the tens position and add 8 plus 9. 8 plus 9 gives us 17. But of course, you can't write your 17. You have to write the digit in the ones position and take over 1. So we write 7 and take 1 to the other side. So we regroup. So we add the 1 here. So when we add 3 plus 6, that gives us 9. Then 9 plus 1, that gives us 10. Same thing, we can write 10. So we write down the 0 and take over the 1 to the other side, like this. So then we go ahead to add 2 plus 1 gives us 3, plus that one we just brought over, we have that to be 4. And so this addition is 4078. So we'll move to the 7th one. For the 7th one, we have 100 minus 57. Now, of course, we start from the ones position. 0 minus 7, you cannot take away 7 from 0 because 0 is smaller than 7. So what we have to do, we have to go and take from, we have to go, okay, okay.
Hello, Paula. Can you reshare your screen?
Okay, ma. All right. For question 7, we have 100 minus 57. So like we say, you start from the ones position, but the digit there is not up to. So we borrow from the 1 beside it. But if we look, the digit in the tens position is also 0. So we have to also move one more step forward. So we borrow 1 from the digit here. So when we borrow 1 from this digit, it becomes, once we borrow 1 from 1, what is left is 0. We add that 1 to this 0. That one we borrowed is 10. So when we add the 1 here, we have 10. But remember, we are going to the unit, the ones position. So we still have to borrow 1 from 10 to make it 9. So we'll borrow 1 from 10, we have 9 here. We now add that 1 here, so we have 10. So 10 minus 7 gives us 3. And then what we have here is 9. 9 minus 5 gives us 4. And then you have nothing left, so you just have 0, which can be omitted. So the final answer is 43. So we move to the next one. Question 8. You have 2,500 minus 383. So you align them this way. Ones together, tens together, hundreds together. So same thing, 0 minus 3 cannot, because 3 is bigger. You can't take away 3 from 0. 3 is bigger than 0. So we move forward to borrow 1. But unfortunately, the digit here is also 0. So we have to move one more step. If we come here, the digit here is 5. If you borrow 1 from 5, what is left is 4. So that one we borrow, add it to the tens position, that becomes 10. But remember, we are going to the unit, the ones position. So if we borrow 1 from 10 again, we have 9 left. So add that one we borrow here, it becomes 10. So 10 minus 3, that gives you 7. Then 9 minus 8, removing 8 from 9, you have 1 left. Then 4 minus 3, removing 3 from 4, you have 1 left. And then you have 2. So the answer there we have is 2,117. So we go ahead. Okay. Now, what if the subtraction we are to do? For this example, we are to subtract 17 from 12. So how do we do this type of subtraction? If you want to, now we are working with integers. 17 from 12. If you look at it, it's not possible because 17 is bigger than 12. So for this type of subtraction, what we do is, we know that there will be, this will retain a negative sign, and then we swap the subtraction. So this becomes negative 17 minus 12. So when we subtract this, we add a negative sign to the answer. Why? Because 12 is smaller than 17. So if we do the subtraction this way, 7 minus 2 gives us 5, and 1 minus 1 gives us 0. So the answer here is negative 5. Because you are removing a positive number from a smaller positive number, so you should have a negative value. So 12 minus 17 is minus 5. So anytime you do a subtraction this way, you retain the negative sign, then you swap the digits and subtract. So we'll do another example on this. We have 18 minus 27. So this is saying take away 27 from 18. 18 is a smaller number, so same thing. Our answer will retain a negative sign, but what we need to do, we will swap the subtraction. So we remove 18 from 27. And same thing, to remove 18 from 27, now we can do the subtraction we have been doing. 7 minus 8 cannot, so we have to borrow from 2. So we take away 1 from 2, 2 becomes 1. Add that 1 to 7, we have 17. So 17 minus 8 gives us 9. 1 minus 1 gives us 0. So 18 minus 27 will be negative 9. Why do we have a negative sign there? Because 18 is smaller. You are removing a bigger number from a smaller number, so you have negative 9. So now for the third one, you have a negative number and you want to remove another number from this. Now what happens when both numbers have negative signs? So you have negative 11 and you want to remove 19 from a negative number. What happens? You are removing 19 from a negative number. That means you are making the number more negative. So if you have questions like this, what we do is we add up these values and retain a negative sign, because you are trying to remove from an already negative number. So that's, you are making that negative number bigger. So we'll retain a negative sign and add up the values. So when we add this up, 9 plus 1 becomes 10, but we can't write down the 10. We write down 0, carry over the 1, and then we have 1 plus 1 is 2, plus that 1, making 3. So the answer here will be negative 30. So going further, same thing, we have negative 13, negative 21. So you are trying to remove 21 from an already negative number. So what does that mean? You are only trying to make that number more negative. So same thing, our answer, we have a negative sign. Then we pick the two values and add them up. So if we add this up, 3 plus 1 gives us 4. 2 plus 1 gives us 3. So you have negative 34. So going further, now you have positive 92 minus 155. Now 92 is a positive number. We are trying to remove 155 from it. Now what we say we will do in this case is to, of course 155 is greater than 92, so our answer, we have a negative number. Then we subtract the smaller number from the bigger number, as we did for the first and second example. So if we go ahead to subtract this, we have 5 minus 2, that gives us 3. 5 minus 9, now this cannot go because 9 is bigger, so we borrow from this 1. Once we borrow from this 1 becomes 0. We add it here, it becomes 15. So 15 minus 9, that gives us 63. So the answer for question 5 becomes negative 63. So we go further. For question 6 now, we are to add 31 to a negative number. Now this is saying negative 32 plus 31. Now if you see the digit here, 31 is smaller than 32. So even if we add that, we will still have a negative sign in our answer, because you can even swap this to be 31, positive 31 minus 32, so that you can see it this way. So you can swap them with their signs. So this can be written as positive 31 minus 32. So this is same thing as saying you are removing 32 from 31. You know that 32 is bigger. You cannot get 32 from 31. So this will retain a negative sign, and then we subtract the smaller number from the bigger number. So when we do this subtraction, you have 1 and 0. So this will give you negative 1. So actually you can even swap the digit with their signs, like I did here. 31 goes with the positive sign, 32 goes with the negative sign, just the sign before the number. So we have this. Okay, moving forward. This says negative 64 plus 27. So you are adding a positive number to a negative number. So that means you are reducing the negative number. So like I said, if this is not too clear, you can swap it so as to see what you have to do. So this can be written as positive 27 minus 64. So this is same thing as saying you are removing a negative number from a positive number, and that positive number is less than the negative number you are going to remove. So what does that mean? Our answer will retain a negative sign, and then we can now do the subtraction the other way by removing the smaller number from the bigger number. So if we subtract this, this is 14 minus 7, which gives you 7. Of course, you had borrowed 1 here, so what is left here is 5. So 5 minus 2, that gives you 37. So if you add it here, you have negative 37. So like I said, you can always swap. But if you are swapping, make sure you pick it with the sign. So if it's not too clear to you, you can swap to see how the subtraction will be. Okay, question 8, same thing, we have negative 219 plus 145. So same thing, you can swap it to become positive 145 minus 219. So when you look at this, same way, you are trying to take away a bigger number from a smaller number. So what do you expect? You expect that your answer will have a negative sign. Then pick the bigger number and remove the smaller number from it. So if you subtract this way, 9 minus 5, that gives you 4. 1 minus 4 cannot, because 1 is a smaller number. So we have to take away 1 from 2 here. So what is left when you take away 1 from 2? 1 is left. Add that 1 that you have taken away here, we have 11. So we subtract 4 from 11. That gives us 7. And then 1 minus 1 goes to 0. So the answer here will be a negative 7, 4. So we go on. Now, we have more complex simplification to do. What if we have this situation where we have positive 3 and then negative 8? How do we add this? Now, this is saying remove a negative number from 3. Now, this is same thing as adding a positive 8. So removing a negative 8 from 3 is same thing as adding a positive 8. So one other way we can do this is through the number line, but we can do this directly. So anytime you have negative gives you positive. So removing a negative number is same thing as adding the positive number. So minus here is plus, so you have 3 plus 8, which gives us 11. So at any point, if you have a question, you can always send it in as a message. I will respond to your question. So what about this? We have negative 3 and then negative of negative 8. We say if you are removing a negative number, that is same thing as adding a positive number. So the negative is positive. So you have negative 3 plus 8. But what is negative 3 plus 8? What does it mean to add a positive number to a negative number? I told you if this is not too clear, you can swap it to be positive 8 minus 3. So now this is what we always do. So what is 8 minus 3? You have this to be 5. So we started from here. Negative is positive. And then you have negative 3 plus 8 we can swap it to become positive 8 minus 3, which gives us 5. So we go on. Now we have another one that says positive 9, negative 9. So we already established that removing a negative number is same thing as adding a positive number. So positive 9 plus positive 9 means your 9 plus 9, which is 18, a positive 18. So just always remember, negative gives you positive. Removing a negative number gives you the same thing as adding the positive version of that number. The next one, same thing, we have negative 4, negative 4. So this gives you negative 4 plus 4, because we say removing a negative number is same thing as adding that number. So, but what is negative 4 plus 4? As we establish, if it's not too clear to you, swap it. So if we swap it, this will becomes positive 4 minus 4. So you are removing 4 from 4. Of course, once you remove 4 from 4, you just have 0. So we go on. The fifth one, we have negative 30, negative, okay, sorry, negative 30, negative 80. So this is removing, you are removing a negative 80 from a number. So this is same thing as adding 80 to it because of the negative. So the negative becomes positive. So negative 30 plus 80, we said if this is not too clear, you can rewrite it as positive 80 minus 30. So when you remove 30 from 80, 0 minus 0 gives you 0. 8 minus 3, this gives you 5. So we have this to be 50. Now the sixth one, we have this to be 76 minus 74. Same thing, you are removing a negative number from a number. So we say that is same thing as adding a positive number. So 76 plus 74, if we add that up, 6 plus 4, that gives you 10. You write down the 0 and take over the 1 to the 10th position. So 7 plus 7, that gives you 14. 14 plus that 1, that gives you 15. And so we have the answer here to be a positive 150. So going further, now we have negative 8, negative 3. What would this give us? Now we have established that anytime you have the negative together like this, it becomes a positive sign. So negative becomes positive 8. And then same thing, the negative here becomes positive 3. And then when you add positive 8 plus positive 3, that gives you positive 11. Okay. The next one, we have 8 negative 3. We already established that when the negatives are together, it becomes a positive 3. And so this gives you 11. Okay, so we have other sets to work with. What if now you have positive, negative? So you have positive 4 plus negative 7. So you are adding a negative number. So this is same thing as just subtracting 7. So adding negative 7 is same thing as subtracting 7. So what does that mean? When you have positive, negative, it becomes negative. Remember what we just finished was negative, negative is same thing as what? Adding. But when you have positive, negative, it is same thing as subtracting. So you have 4, positive 4 minus 7. Of course, 4 is smaller than 7. So we say, how do you do this kind of subtraction? Since you want to remove a bigger number from a smaller number, it will maintain the negative sign, and then you swap the subtraction. 7 minus 4 gives you 3. So the answer we get is negative 3. So the next one, we have negative 2 plus negative 6. So you are adding a negative number. So this adding a negative number is same thing as what? Subtracting that number. So because plus minus gives you minus. So negative 2, negative 6. So you have a negative number already, and you are still trying to remove 6 from it. So you know you will have more negative numbers. So we say as both of them have a negative sign, what you do, maintain the negative sign and then add the digits. So 2 plus 6, that gives you 8. Going further, you have 20 plus negative 20. So this is same thing as, you are adding a negative 20. This is same thing as just subtracting 20, because plus minus is minus. So 20 minus 20, that gives you 0. So we go further. The fourth one says negative 9 plus negative 9. So what does this give you? Negative 9. You are removing a negative, you are adding a negative 9 to negative 9. So the plus minus here becomes negative, and then you have your 9. So negative 9, negative 9. We said once the two numbers have a negative sign, maintain the negative sign and then add the digits. So 9 plus 9, that gives you 18, because you are removing a number from a negative number. So that gives you a more negative number. So that gives you negative 18. So the next one, we have negative 18 plus minus 3. So this becomes negative 18 plus minus becomes minus 3. So like we said, both digits are having a negative sign. So maintain the negative sign, add up the digits. So 18 plus 3, that gives you 21. So we go ahead. Now, what if we have an addition, or what if we need to simplify more than one, where we have more than just two expressions like this? How do we simplify it? Now, the best way is to go 2 by 2 so that it makes your work easier. So for this, we have 16 plus minus 9, and then minus plus 10. So if you go 2 by 2, so let's consider this first 2. So if we pick it, we have 16 plus minus 9. So like we said, plus minus gives you minus. So you have 16 minus 9. So 16 minus 9 gives you a 7. So we can now pick this other part that says remove. So here we are to remove positive 10. Here we are to remove a positive 10. So this becomes negative, positive is negative. So you have 7 minus 10. So what is 7 minus 10? 7 minus 10 is 7 is a smaller number. So we say retain a negative sign and then swap the subtraction to have negative 3. So the next one, we have negative 3 plus 14 plus negative 5. So we can work with negative 3 plus 14. So we said if you have something like this, you can swap it to become 14, positive 14 minus 3. And this gives you positive 11. Then you can now pick this last part. So we have now, since we have simplified this to be positive 11, so we have positive 11 plus minus 5. So this gives you 11. Positive negative gives you negative 5, which gives you 11 minus 5. That gives you 6. So we go on. The third one, we have 7 negative 8. So we can simplify this first before adding negative 5. So 7 negative, we already established negative in this case is positive 8. And adding 7 plus 8, this gives you 15. So now we bring down the positive negative 5. So you have 15 positive negative 5. So this gives you 15. Positive negative is a negative sign, minus 5, and then 15 minus 5, that gives you 10. So the next one, we have, so negative 3, negative 21 gives you positive 21. And like we said, you can swap this to be 21 minus 3. So 21 minus 3 gives you 18. So we have simplified this to be 18. Then we have 18 minus 18. That gives you 0. The fifth one, so like we said, you can do it 2 by 2. If we pick these two, we have 7 positive negative gives you negative 4. So that gives you 3. So this is 3. Then we pick that 3 and add negative 5. So positive negative is negative. So we have 3 minus 5. 5 is bigger, so this gives us negative 2. So that means we have simplified the whole of here to be negative 2. So what is left? We subtract negative 10. So we have negative 2, negative 10. We say once both of them have the same sign, once we are subtracting, you have -2, you want to still remove a negative number from a negative number, it makes the negative number bigger. So you just have negative, then add up the numbers, you have -12. Okay, so we just take question 6 finally. So for question 6, you have -23 plus minus 11. Plus minus is minus 11. So since both numbers have a negative sign, we said what we do in that situation is to add them up and retain the negative sign. So this becomes -34. So we are done with this. This gives us -34. Then we'll go ahead to simplify this. -14 means +14. So we have -34 plus 14. We say you can write that as 14 minus +14 minus 34. So if we subtract that, since 34 is bigger, we will have a negative sign, and then you subtract the digits, you have -20. So we are left to add +21. So if we add +21 to -20, same thing. You have -20 plus 21. This can be written as +21 minus 20, and so this gives us 1. And so we'll stop here for today and then begin division and multiplication of integers in our next class.